Guten Tag, Berlin. So rather than talking about me and about my company, especially since I haven't started working there yet, let's talk about why I'm here. You can see my T-shirt. I went to the mobile event in London a couple of months ago, and all I got was this T-shirt and inspiration. Because what I did notice when I was there is that we talked about acquisition and engagement and churn and separate challenges. I saw this in this event, it's a little bit different, but that kind of brought my product mindset and made me think, yes, we think in silos far too much. And whenever you think in silos, it makes our work really, really difficult. A few weeks further in, I am in my camper van in New Zealand with my son, and we're listening to Lego Movie 2 songs. And that inspired me. So we know everything's not awesome. Everything's not cool. Things can't be awesome all the time. It's an unrealistic expectation. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. Everything is better when we stick together. We stick together. Side by side, you and I, we will sing together, always together. So I thought, inspired by the talk in London, I thought I need to have a chat with different groups to help this problem. And so I'm going to take the same talk to the Mobile UX in London, and there is a Velocity, which is about later tech firms in London, where I will do the same speech, because I think we need to come together in order to work more efficiently and better. So I'm a product person. I have a growth mindset, and I kind of want to tell you how that my world and the product world looks, and how I think things should be integrated. And I'll start with product. And we heard quite a few times, product is the one that doesn't deliver for us. And let's talk about why that is maybe the case. So product is all about making the decision what to build. Unfortunately, that also means what not to build, and this is what makes a lot of people upset. So in my opinion, for product is about creating value for users, but also for co-workers. So it's about taking things, looking where there's a problem, taking them apart, putting them back together. Hopefully, we have added value, and we're continuously iterating. The second one is sometimes we also get the opportunity to create superpowers, because it's not always about optimization. It's also sometimes about the opportunity to really do something cool and good. But for me, product is also a team sport, because in order to do the right discovery and to find the right opportunities and solutions, you need to work together. Then also when you want to deliver things, you need to work together. And we all know that you can only be successful with a product if you also know how to distribute it. So we need to work together. And to kind of get your creative juices going, because we've seen a few yawning, we're all a bit tired, I want to share a problem I had, and that's my name. Ruth Guthoff-Recknagel. Even the Germans can't properly say it. And what I needed a Twitter account. And so I wanted it to be short. I wanted it to be spellable. And I wanted it to be easy to remember. And now put your cross-functional thinking on. So me as a product owner, I went and tried different tools. I looked what others are doing. But the solution then came from a friend of mine. And she's a chartered accountant. What she did, she put my last name in she wrote me an email, and out came rectangle. So now my Twitter account is Ruth Rectangle. Very simple, everybody will remember, and you can even spell it because you know how to spell it. So, wait. There we go. I also want to show you the challenges of working in cross-functional teams, because it's not always easy. Sometimes it's really, really complicated. And we talked earlier about the French Alps over there. So you see on the left, that is Tim, my son. He's a very experienced adventurer. And simply because he's 9 years old, he believes he knows everything. Then you have me. Simply due to age, I should have more experience in leadership. And you can assume that I know what I'm doing most of the time. And you see Mushu. Mushu is the donkey who helped us carry our luggage. This was a 7-day trip through the French Alps, only the 3 of us. The biggest challenge in this team, can you imagine? The one with the most experience speaks French and it's the donkey. And as you can see here on that picture, that was us. Usually it was only the three of us traveling, but at that special moment, and you all know this, sometimes you have a lot of attention on you. This is us trying to cross the bridge. You can see my son going, because the donkey didn't want to go. And luckily, not luckily, there was also somebody taking a photo, and you see people in the background. So the one moment where you really don't know what to do, people are watching you and taking photos. I'm not going to tell you how we solved the problem, but this is sometimes what we're struggling with, a French-speaking donkey, and we need to get across the bridge. But I think what is important for me, and this is also why I'm here, I want to kind of share a little bit of the framework that I use to make teams work, how to inspire everybody to also demand these framework steps, because they're really important in order for us to work together in a positive way. So I believe that we need to dream in years. So this is the vision, and we've seen it. Philip was talking about this earlier. It's about giving that focus that we want to look in this direction, not in that direction. This will help us prioritize. This will help us to be focused. But this will also help us in every different department to have that focus and know where we're going. We want to plan in months. And lately I've been using OKRs, or lately, the last few years, I've been using OKRs. I'm not saying that that is the only way, but that gives you a framework of thinking in 3 to 4 months, depending on how long your framework is. Yes, I've been in a position where they asked me if I could plan out the next 6 months. None of them have ever been successful, because nobody can plan in a detailed way the next 6 months. But what you can do, you can create objectives together. They're outcome-driven, and then you can test and you can go in the direction of figuring out, are you going the right direction? And I think this is also, once again, this is nothing product can do by themselves, because we need everybody else to pitch in. Discover weekly. So I'm sure everybody has heard about Agile. Agile delivery has been famous for many, many years. And I think even though people say the development team doesn't deliver enough, I think they've become much, much better at delivering faster. But the thing that we're still struggling with, especially from a product perspective, is that we're not discovering fast enough. Because a lot of the things that we are building could be prevented by having done the right discovery work up front. So, and I'm mentioning down there Teresa Torres, who does amazing work around this continuous discovery. So just like a weekly sprint, let your discovery be weekly. If you have your objectives and you have your key results that you want to tackle, find a weekly pattern of figuring out what the customer wants, because at the end of the day, it's not about what you want or what anybody else in the company wants, it's about what the customer wants. So this discovery weekly is really important. And it's nothing that only UX is doing or product is doing. This needs to be a team effort. And the last team I worked in, we had all kinds of different departments in there because it was a healthcare company. There was also doctors involved, because everybody needs to understand the customer better in order to be helpful and useful. Release daily. You've all heard it. If you work with the developers, it's all about the quicker they get, the better. But it's not only the developers, it's also us. And I notice I'm speaking faster and faster. So I grew up in Germany. So I learned how to drive on the German Autobahn. And if I have a fast car and the Autobahn is empty, I go fast. But also whenever there's somebody else coming, I go to the side. So my driving in Germany is fast, and you move around. You're not sticking and go on a very, very long path. You're agile, you think in small pieces. Now I live in England. England, the speed limit is sadly low. And it doesn't matter for me, because I still have this mindset of going left and right, making space for others, and go in little steps. In England, it doesn't matter if I drive with my fast car or if I drive with my camper van, I'm still using this agile way. And if you put this on a company thinking, it's not fair, or it doesn't work if only the development team thinks in that way. Everybody needs to think in this way, because only if you think about small pieces that you're trying out and you iterate on and you get quick results and you get quickly delivery, then you're going to be successful. Gesundheit. Always your users and coworkers in mind. since my last company, I'm in a very, very special position because my users are now patients. So suddenly, this having a user in mind has much more power, has much more even fear, because you really need to make sure they're getting better. And so if with a mission to put your user in charge of your health and your healthcare, you also need to educate them. And I think this is also a problem in Germany, because a lot of the end users, they're scared of data, they're scared of this, they're scared of that. So we need to do a lot of work with the users to actually get them close to it, to make them understand where we go. And so while we talk a lot about data and figuring this out, it's a lot about also emotions and logic and motivation. Why or how do they go forward? What rewards do they ever expect when going through our journey? But while the user is very important, you also need to get your coworkers on board, because I can come up with the most amazing things. If I don't have everybody else on board, I'll not get it built, I'll not get it tested, I will not get it distributed. I'm just by myself, so that's not going to work. If we now, I'm trying to bridge now towards the growth thinking, because at some point I noticed that I was getting much, much better at product, but then I realized, well, everybody talks about growth. What does that mean? So I stepped into trying to find a program that would help me understand how to build growth models. What does that mean? How can I use my product and have it grow? And this is when I joined Reforge. In a program, and there I learned how to build growth models. I don't know if you know Reforge or Brian Belfer, but he's rather famous for his growth work. That actually made me realize growth is good, but what I actually need to learn in order to also have more longevity in my product is retention. Because I want to keep these users, and there was a lot of focus, especially in an early stage, to be very strong at acquisition, but retention is forever. So thinking about retention, and if you would ask me, and when I start my new job, I will definitely ask for retention to be owned by me, because if I own it, that means I can pull the right people together and make it happen. But this is a hidden Shah, which I'm sure most of you know. If not, go and follow him on Twitter. And he did conveniently a few months ago a questionnaire and asked, so who owns retention? And also, having heard Anna before talking about how important retention is, I'm happy to see that. So there's about 500 people answering. So product is strong, growth is strong, other departments strong. The thing that worries me is then if there's 33% of nobody owns it, and that's just not good. So if you take this retention idea, and if I kind of want to explain a bit better why I believe this must be different people and different people coming together, I want to talk a little bit about the joint effort. When I talk to product people, or even the entire company, I talk about product, I call it a clubhouse. So in that clubhouse, you need to have people that bring people in, right? You need to have the acquisition. You need the helpers to make sure people come to your clubhouse. Then you bring them in and you get them either to drink, to dance, or whatever it is. But you need to figure out how you put that engagement level in. And so from a product perspective, that's very, very important to think of, because a lot of time we optimize a flow from A to Z, but we're not thinking about the user journey over a lifetime. So if I have these people in my clubhouse, what do? Do I offer different drinks? Do I offer different music? Many options. Churn prevention, how do I keep them in there? What do I do? And how do I resurrect? How do I make them come back in case they did leave because they were too drunk? And I think those are all the points that we consider from a product perspective, but you guys working in marketing do the same thing, but maybe just from a different viewpoint. And if we break this down even in one level further, so we're going into sign up, we're getting into setup, we're getting into the aha moment. And so, for example, from my experience, in the last two companies, my aha moment was not within the app. It was actually afterwards. So when you ordered, you got a prescription from Sava, they would actually deliver a medication to your house, and then you would take the medication, it would be better. So not in an instant aha moment, it's later on. And I think to figure this aha moment out, and then also figuring out how you turn this into a casual or core or power user is really, really important. You might have heard yesterday Aitor, oh, I'm hoping I'm saying the name right, from Glovo, he was saying, it doesn't really matter if somebody orders every 4 weeks a pizza, if that's their iteration. Fine, but that's something that we need to learn. I think it's very tricky if only one team works on it. It needs to be multiple teams working at that together. Because that also gives you then the opportunity to dig into what is dormant, at what point is this frequency of 4 weeks not being continued anymore? When do you need to step in and actually tell them, oh, something is wrong, maybe we need to do some marketing, maybe you need to do some more product features, who knows? Churn is a really tricky topic, and you might have heard Andy talking about it yesterday. It's one that I try to avoid as much as possible by actually being really strong at the top ones before. So we're getting deeper into the details, and you notice that it gets more and more complicated to keep track of all of this and to keep all the layers and to keep all the timelines. And if you're thinking about cohorts you're building in order to see your success, it gets even more crazy if you start to measure engagement, because you can go with total engagement, you go engagement per active user, it could be engagement in different categories. There's different flavors. And I've not seen it being successfully carried through if this is only one team thinking about it. It needs to be the combination of many coming together. And I think it's not only because in product there's lots of talk about data-driven. Data-driven is great. But if you don't know what that data means, and if you don't really get deep into what the customer or the user's emotion and logic are, you're not going to win this game. So, I spoke much faster than I thought I would, which is great. I hope what came across, and if it didn't, well, I'm practicing, like I said, I'm going to do this speech multiple times. Let me know if I can improve something so the next people don't have to suffer. But, so I was talking about the framework I am applying. And if we for a moment pretend that these are the different departments in your organization, data, marketing, performance marketing, development, you just name them. And if we think that in the middle here, there's that core of a vision, so everybody knows where to go, which is already perfect. We've heard Philip talking about it. That's not always the case. So if that's something that we can demand from our senior managers, that's already strong. And if we then start to talk, and if we then start to plan together, OKRs being one possibility, we can start to talk together and we find out what's happening and where are the bottlenecks and what are we planning in the next 3 months. And this is a very crazy Rubik's Cube, which I can't even wiggle up. We're getting faster, we're getting better, we're getting better results. And you can see it's very complicated to build these teams, but the better they intertwine, the more successful you're going to be. So, it's not easy. Everything's not awesome. Everything is not cool. Things can be awesome, can't be awesome all the time. That's an unrealistic expectation. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try. Everything is better when we stick together. We stick together. Side by side, you and I will sing together. Party forever. And let there be GNT. So, because we had a discussion earlier, we actually need a G&T now. So me being a product person, not being able to figure out things by myself, I'm really good at building these teams and I'm getting people together. Is there anybody in the audience who actually knows how to fix this and can help me solve this problem? Anybody dares to try? See, and this is how it starts. You should all give it a go. And that was me. Better together, hopefully, and dancing forever. Thank you. There must be somebody, come on. Really, nobody? Oh, that's disappointing. I need this for the next talk, so somebody, I can't just split it. Sorry, that was very fast, but are there any questions? Does that make sense? I know I'm coming from the dark side because I'm in product, but I still believe we all need to tackle and make this work. And by the way, if anybody, because there was another discussion, if anybody's interested in OKRs, and if you're German speaking, there's actually an OKR remote meeting, which is very helpful because you learn how to do OKRs in a better way, but it's German, so you need to speak German. There we go. No questions? Then I'll run away. Thank you.